this weekend over on the Zone, and Big J, real quick, is this fight televised over in Australia? Teixeira versus Castano.
Not that I know of, but I haven't seen any advertisements for it.
So Fox hasn't picked it up,
Not yet. Not yet.
but they
I
have
haven't
the
seen anything
ESPN
for it.
card.
So it might be. I haven't had a decent look, but I haven't heard anything about it. So I'll have to have a look, but possibly not.
Well, hopefully you guys over there can get the fight. So right now it is February the 12th, Friday, 2021, 6:50 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm TstreeT Controversy with Big J with FV360.com. This weekend, one of the biggest fights of the weekend, actually the most significant fight, in my opinion, of the weekend because of the implications, is Patrick Teixeira, Golden Boy fighter, WBO 154-pound super welterweight champion, versus former WBA world regular champion, Brian Castano. You can say he's a PBC fighter from Argentina. Now, this is very important here. Now, if you remember, back in, where is that? 2019 in March, I did a video on it. Brian Castano fought Erislandy Lara to a draw. There's been a lot going on where Brian Castano was supposed to face Michael Soro, but a deal couldn't be made. In fact, I'm going to read, because this is important information, I'm going to read this press release here from the WBA, which is the World Boxing Organization WBA World Super Welterweight title that was previously held by Brian Carlos Castano of Argentina was now vacant, as champion Castano and challenger Michael Soro could not come to an agreement of terms to fight. On May the 28th, 2019, a purse bid was held for Castano's mandatory defense against the leading available contender in the division, Soro, and the bid was $810,000. So, on June the 5th, 19, the contracts were sent to Castano and Soro for the fight on June the 20th, 2019 in France. On June the 19th, Soro returned the signed bout contract. On June the 22nd, the WBA sent a second reminder, the first on June the 18th, granted Castano an additional 24 hours to forward the bout contract. Castano did not reply. Now, I don't know the rest of the story, the lore from there, or why he did not reply. But we're here to talk about the fight. So here in the States, it's going to be taking place on the Zone, and the implications of this fight, and me and Big Jig are going to talk about it, is that, by the way, it is on the undercard. Let me say this first. It's on the undercard of Jojo Diaz versus, and I'm going to learn how to make sure I understand and pronounce his name tomorrow correctly, Shavkadan Rakhimov. This is for the IBF super featherweight title that he won Jojo Diaz from Tevin Former. So, Teixeira versus Castano, in my opinion, is the fight of the night, the fight of the card. And the winner will likely, depending, for example, my opinion is, if it's Brian Castano, I think he's going to go on to face Jermell Charlo for the WBC, WBA, IBF, and WBO 154-pound titles. Jay, can you tell us what's going to happen with Castano if he wins?
Well, it's possible. It's very possible that Teixeira will fight the winner of the upcoming domestic bout between Tszyu and Dennis Hogan. Because Tszyu's promoter, No Limit Boxing, Matty Rose, had discussions with Golden Boy, I think it would have been last year, to see if it was possible to bring Teixeira out to Australia to fight Tszyu, as both Castano and Teixeira had problems leaving their respective countries due to the COVID pandemic. It's possible. I don't know. Yeah, there's nothing to confirm. There's been no talks, any further mention of it. But if Teixeira wins and Tszyu wins his fight against Hogan, it could be very possible those two could be meeting
in Australia.
In Australia, hopefully, within by, I don't know, June or whatever. So
now, money talks. Now, in my opinion, if you don't know, I feel that Jermell Charlo is going to be watching this fight, meaning Castano versus Teixeira. Al Heyman, PBC, they're going to be watching this fight. Golden Boy, of course, they're fighters in the fight, and Tszyu is going to be up watching this fight because the implications is Jermell Charlo is the first PBC fighter to be the closest to becoming an undisputed champion in the 4-belt era. And this is something that he wants, and it's something that if PBC were to accomplish, that they'll be able to really upset, basically, everything in the 154-pound division because they'll control all the cards. And if Jermell Charlo were to move up, then basically PBC would still control the belt and set their fighters up like Erickson Lubin, Jared Swift-Hurd if he's still staying there, Sebastian Fundora. So right now, the question is, how much will PBC pay for the belt? It's not about fighting Teixeira. It's not about fighting Castano. Even if the rumors are there that, Teixeira, if he wins, would fight Tszyu in Australia, still money talks. So, I feel personally that PBC will probably throw the bank at Teixeira and Golden Boy, even though there's a rocky relationship there still with PBC and Golden Boy. If you don't know, not enough time to get into it. But what's your thought? Which fight would you prefer? I mean, obviously, being an Aussie, you will prefer Tszyu versus Teixeira. But do you have confidence that if Castano wins, that Tszyu will fight Castano?
Well, you get past Dennis Hogan first.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's not even think for a second that Tszyu is just going to waltz all over Dennis Hogan, because he's not. So the winner of Tszyu Hogan, I look at it this way. I believe that Castano will get over Teixeira. Castano has been a world champion. He's a little bit more established as a world champion. This is Teixeira's first title fight because he was a paper champion. He was promoted to the world title. He never won a world title. And Castano has been there before. So I think Castano will win. So even the winner of Tszyu Hogan, I don't think we'll get a shot, because if Castano wins, it's all over. Charlo will, pay all the dollars to get the WBO belt and then vacate it, and then probably in, I don't know, maybe later in the year, probably around November, December, someone will fight for the vacant title. That's the way I see it going. I don't see Teixeira. If Teixeira wins, will he come to Australia? Who knows? I mean, Victoria has just gone into another. There's been spot lockdowns or snap lockdowns or whatever you want to call them, like 5 days here, 5 days there, 5 days there. We've got the UK strain in Australia at the moment, and why we're not panicking, we're just like, okay, well, Victoria's been locked down for 5 days. Queensland just went through a 3-day lockdown. WA went through a 4 or 5 day lockdown. So, the UK strain is here. So that's putting people a little bit on edge. So, if things get worse, no one will be able to come here anyway.
Do you think that the Tszyu Dennis Hogan fight is in danger? Will there be a crowd? How are things looking for that?
Unclear, because at the moment, they haven't even announced where it's going to be. So if it's in Queensland or if it's in New South Wales, no problem, because Victoria's only in lockdown for 5 days.
Yeah, but we don't know where they're going to be at the end of March. I don't want to be the gloom and doom, but that if that new strain is over there, I don't know. It's I'm sure the promoters and the managers and the fighters, they are watching closely.
Oh, everyone's watching closely, but at the moment, business as usual until told otherwise. So they're not going to put the fight in Victoria anyway, so it's really irrelevant at this stage. So at the moment, business as usual until told otherwise. So I haven't heard anything that the fight is postponed or anything. So there's a lot of upcoming fights. There's Monday in B Zarafa on March 13th in Bendigo. That's not going to be stopped at the moment. That's all going ahead as usual. So
yeah. By the way, we do have some other Australian boxing videos coming for, Mundine, Sam Solomon's return, Justin Hooney, trying to get Ebony Bridges on the phone. And if you don't know, Patrick Teixeira won the interim WBO title against Carlos Adames on Top Rank on ESPN November the 30th of 2019. So yes, basically in today's, what he's called by fans is an email champion. Basically he was promoted to a champion, never actually. Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. My bad. That was my work alarm. So, closing thoughts. I guess we do have to wrap up now. Closing thoughts, Big J.
Well, I think it's going to be a very interesting fight. I mean, there's going to be a lot of, as we said, hardcore fans on this. I don't think the casual fan is going to care either way. I don't know what the buzz is in Brazil and Argentina, but I think Tszyu and Dennis Hogan and Australian boxing is going to be looking at this fight very, very closely, because with the exception of George Kambosos Jr., the winner of Hogan v. Tszyu is the only real guys looking at a world. So there'll be a lot of high-ranking Aussie-Australian boxing eyes on this fight. And as I said, I think Castano is going to get up. And if Castano gets up, then the hopes of the winner of Tszyu Hogan fighting the winner of this fight pretty much is null and void. So
I don't see.
But,
I don't see Tszyu getting Jermell, Charlo, or Castano. I think that Tszyu will end up fighting for a vacant title if he does get a title shot.
Yeah. No, he's got to get past
Dennis Hogan. So, let me stop, because I was already saying in the previous video that I'm leaning toward Dennis Hogan. So let me stop already.
Yeah, so that's the way I'm going. But it's going to be an interesting weekend. I said more will be revealed, on the weekend.
Yeah, we'll definitely know, and we will be doing a recap video next week. The beginning of next week after the fight. Maybe even depending on the next day after the fight. Because I'm pretty sure we're going to find out a lot from media and the managers and promoters of the fighters on the plans. So, this is TstreeT Controversy and Big J with FightView360.com. Please subscribe.